Hi, I'm Kevin Matthews, Scottish film fan living in England, and this week, after watching Dave's Choice for the podcast, I was walking past a small child in the street and they opened their mouth. I heard a cat noise. I was really freaked out. And then I realised they were just looking a bit open mouthed as they stood on a cat. So that was okay.
Hi, I'm Craig, film nerd, live in England, and if you ever feel like you've been wrong about anything, I was on Facebook and I was on a thread about the new season of what's The Witcher, and I saw someone post a comment, Lawrence Fishburne will be bad in this. He's always bad in everything. So you've never been that wrong.
What? How? Dude, there's like levels of self-delusion, and that's a new one on me.
That's crazy shit.
I'm Dave Gray, and this week I learned there are deeper levels of self-delusion than I was aware of.
I'm Tyler Hosley, and welcome to hell, motherfuckers. And this is Raiders of the Podcast.
Woo!
So, guys, I went to the theater, and guess what movie I saw? I saw Tron Ares. The only person on earth that was looking forward to this movie is me sitting on this podcast. But yeah, I loved it. I don't want to say too much because I am 100% picking this as soon as it drops on digital, which will probably be soon, judging by the box office. But yeah, it's just an absolute visual feast of neon sci-fi. It has a darker, more somber tone. Like half the movie doesn't even take place on the grid. It's most of the movie, I would say 30% of the movie's in the grid and the rest is in the real world, which I think kind of surprised people that were actually looking forward to this that love Legacy, because most of it is in the real world. And that fucking Nine Inch Nails soundtrack, guys, man, just blasting through those fucking theater speakers, that was truly something special. It's like a Nine Inch Nails music video with fucking Tron cycles. It's wonderful. Just wonderful. I love this movie, and I can't wait to watch it again. Wonderful. Besides that, I watched Leprechaun 2, which was my very first horror movie as a young child, which is why it holds such a special place in my heart. I always rewatch this in October. It has a woman's tits that turn into lawnmower blades, which just describes my take in a nutshell. So I was raised on Leprechaun 2 and lawnmower blade titties. Everything just makes sense. And I'm not saying I would eat the lead girl's ass with a plastic fork from KFC, but I definitely would. And that's me for the week.
I mean, we're not even.
I don't even know how that's. What are you doing with this fork? What are you eating? I don't think that.
Well, first off, it has to be a spork. If you go in like with the normal fork, you're going to do damage. And
what substance are you going in there after? What? What are you hoping to take away with the fork or spork that you are then going to eat? I've got arse eating all wrong. I had the wrong end of the stick. I didn't think there was actually like matter that you were meant to.
I'm just I'm looking for those like flavor crystals around the
Evan has left the chat. Of his flavor crystals that did that.
That's wise.
I've got an image of Tyler. You know those people who check diamonds for like purity, and they got a little like telescope thing on their eye. I saw Tyler checking out the flavor crystals.
She looks like she bathes. She looks like she bathes quite well. She probably doesn't have any flavor crystals, but I would love to try, just attempt it.
In 4 years' time, he's just got up to people in car parks going, "You want to know how I get these brown scars?"
Oh, the tone has been sufficiently lowered. It's only way is up now.
I don't know, because I watched several movies this week that I don't want to talk about. They just weren't fun, and I don't want to put their name out there because then folks will be like, "Oh, hey, maybe that's okay," and it's not. It's not. I did rewatch The Premiere, which I started earlier this month, but I had to stop because I was having issues with the service I was watching it on. the 2024 horror comedy about a narcissist making a musical version of Scream. That's a lot of fun. You can watch it for free on Canopy, the other library streaming service. I have an absolute shit ton of stuff. And besides that, I have not had much time to watch a lot. The new anime season has started though, so I did discover one called I'm sorry, I just totally brain fart on what it's called. It's called okay. May I ask you one final thing? Question mark. Which is about a young duchess whose fists are rated E for everyone, and she starts beating up corrupt nobles and slave owners and princes.
Nice.
And, like it made my socialist heart flutter a little. So the premiere, and may I ask one final thing? Go check those out.
Well, it's spooky season, so I had to fit in like at least one film by my favourite film director of all time, John Carpenter, the legendary John Carpenter. So I went with his 1983 Stephen King adaptation, Christine. I'm growing to absolutely love Christine. I used to just think it was fine, but it's growing in my estimation, like year by year. Like the best Stephen King adaptations, they're not slavish, you know. They have the director stamp on them, so stuff like Carrie, and obviously The Shining has its director stamp on. And Christine, John Carpenter kind of does that with Christine. Like he lets the story be the story. He's not particularly excited by it, but he lets the fact that the story is there and the groundwork is already done to just go fucking wild with the synths and the widescreen cinematography, and it just looks fucking killer. There are a couple of scenes with Christine on the rampage that must have like influenced dozens, if not like hundreds, of music video directors. Like they look absolutely stunning. Cast is really, really good. I really like Keith Gordon in this. He's a great like tragic protagonist, and the story really works for me. I do like the story. I don't know whether it's I'm assuming with Stephen King it's an addiction metaphor, but I've always come away with a bit of a gay closeting metaphor as well. I really like Christine. I like it more and more all the time, and it's like, I guess it's kind of like a great car. Like, you know, inside it is solid and dependable, and on the outside it's just fucking gorgeous. It's such a beautiful film, and I just recommend you go and check it out this spooky season. Then, because we watched Tyler's picked Tales from the Hood, I wanted to watch some more 90s horror, because there's not a lot of 90s horror that I love, so I thought I'd try one that, you know, I'd heard of but never seen before. So I went with Highway to Hell, which is pretty good. It's a lot wackier than I was expecting it to be. I thought it would be like a bit of a like desert set, the Hitcher-esque kind of like chase horror, but it is not. It is way weirder than that. It involves actually going to hell and teams of Andy Warhols like mincing human beings, and Gilbert Gottfried playing Hitler, and a stop motion Cerberus, and all sorts of like insane shit. And I had a really, really good time with it. Like it's all over the place, and probably not a great film, but it's so unpredictable, and it's really well paced. I had really good fun with it. I was not expecting to like it as much as I did. Highway to Hell, anybody?
Yeah, that's the one where Ben Stiller plays Attila the Hun, right?
It is.
Yeah.
That's the one.
I have seen it. I do enjoy it.
Alongside Gilbert as Hitler, which is
Yes.
quite insane casting. It's got Jerry Stiller as well. It's got both of Ben's parents in, because, you know, Ben needed an in, which Jerry supplied. And then
It has his
last
sister
one-
also. I don't remember who she is in it, but she's also in it. Like the whole Stiller clan is in it.
Okay. Yeah, Ben plays two parts. He plays a really annoying, like a fry cook at a gas station, and then he plays Attila the Hun because that's. It's a very strange film, but I recommend it. And Patrick Bergin, I don't really like Patrick Bergin, but when he's allowed to keep his Irish accent, he is like 5,000 times better and sexier than he normally is. Like he should never have had that Irish accent taken away for any movie he took part in, because he has got the most beautiful Irish accent. So yeah, I really like that film.
Have you seen any of the director's other movies? He actually released 2 in '91.
There's one that I really like. What did he direct?
Drop Dead Fred, All Men Are Mortals.
I liked Drop Dead Fred
Fogbound.
as a kid. So yeah, that's it.
Deadly
but I haven't watched it.
Virtues. He didn't direct as much as you'd think. He wrote 1 or 2 other things.
I'm not sure how much of a success Highway to Hell is, because it's a strange one. But I remember seeing it. I remember seeing a trailer on the beginning of like a billion different VHS tapes. So I don't know. But it's fun and it's inventive, and if you want a stupid like 90-minute something for spooky season, go for that. Or if you want a goofy, fun 77 minutes, you should go and watch Cellar Dweller, directed by John Carl Buechler, director of Dave's favourite Friday the 13th film, Friday the 13th Part 7. Still your favourite, isn't it?
It is. I thought you were about to pull a fast one and go with Ghoulies 2 or Troll.
No, I went with Cellar Dweller, which I've never seen, and it was pretty goddamn good fun. I really wasn't surprised. I really wasn't expecting it. I mean, it's got a cool as fuck monster, and the practical effects are crazy good throughout. It's got a colourful cast of characters. It's got quite a solid script by Don Mancini of Child's Play fame. It's interesting, and it kind of pushes the idea of undervalued artists of like less prestigious, things like comic books and so on being undervalued, and I like that. It's the cast are good. The lead looks distractingly like Christine Wiig, but I managed to see past that. It's got a really exquisite decapitation at one point. It's just really fun. It's 77 minutes of big people, and the monster looks really cool. And I don't know if I highly recommend Cellar Dweller, but it's on Prime. 77 minutes. It's good fun. You should go watch it. I know that Kevin has watched it. Did it come in that Arrow set?
I'm going to say yes, but I honestly can't remember it right now. Like Buchler is, whatever you say his name is, he's celebrated for making the creatures.
Yeah.
And it, I can't see that arrow. I'm looking around. I can't remember where I've placed that arrow box set, but it's likely that it was one in that set because, yeah, that would be thematically in line.
The video store set, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, Cellar Dweller is fun. It's a stupid title and a stupid film, which is lots of fun. And that's me for the week.
I didn't get a lot watched. I was catching up on the second season of Gen V, which I quite enjoy, and I hadn't started watching it since it started back, and I just had to have a binge because I felt like it. There was stuff to watch for the podcast. Obviously, I am about just over halfway or 2/3 of the way through Ick. Had to pause, obviously, just had my viewing interrupted earlier, and then ready for the podcast, which I don't know. It's kind of there's a lot of fun in Ick, but it's not like really working for me. But I think if you like that director's work, then you will enjoy it. But it is one of those films in which the threat feels minimized in favor of like fun and lots of different little gore gags and squelchy moments. But that's good, but it's got a central, I'm going to say like baddie, if you like, that seems to have one of those really erratic approaches to picking people off. And of course, the central characters have their invisible armor for the most part, whereas other people can be grabbed in half a second and ripped in half and things are done. So it's just really kind of inconsistent and wild, but it is a bit zany. So mileage will vary. I got around to watching the last film directed by Pete Walker at long last, which you'll be thankful to know I was considering for the podcast, for many weeks and months and kept forgetting about it. It's House of the Long Shadows. I mean, like, I can't dislike a film that is directed by Pete Walker and has roles for Vincent Price, Christopher Lee, Peter Cushing, John Carradine, and Sheila Keith. Like, I just cannot bring myself to dislike this film. But it wasn't great. And yet, it's not great in a way that is still ensuring these main players like have their little moments, and those little moments might just be when they're first shown coming on screen, or when they just have a little interaction with someone else, whether it's bickering or whether it's giving the kind of speech that's about some dark past secret in the family that nobody should ever have brought to light. So I, it's an odd one. I'm still mulling it over of how much I'll just like have to love it because I love it because of all them in it. Even though Peter Cushing was, his character, he has a real choice to play that character with quite a pronounced way of speaking. I, I'm trying to figure out. It's not quite. It's not quite in line with Jonathan Ross Craig, but it's some kind of
Okay.
speech mannerism in that way, it's not a list, but I can't recall what the terminology would be. But he has a very specific speech pattern there, so he fully commits to that. Whereas the others are free to just appear and essentially feel like they're playing themselves, making guest appearances, which I think would have been more fun for everyone being to do that to the same degree. But yeah, it's bizarre how old fashioned it is. So when it was like out in 1983, like, were people really wanting to rush to this? Which they probably weren't. I don't know what the box office is, but it seems to have been one of those with aging stars being served up to an audience that were looking for more blood and guts elsewhere. And I saw non-horror. I saw Bad Seed, which I believe was the directorial debut of Billy Wilder. Not The Bad Seed, it's just called Bad Seed from 1934. And it was a fun uh, French kind of light crime thriller romp. A young man is told that his lifestyle will no longer be financed by his father, who takes his car keys away. And then when he's walking about later, he's got a date with a young woman to get to later, so he's quite frustrated. He sees his car parked up again with the key still in it, thinks, I'll just take that. It's stealing the car, but it's not technically stealing because it's my car. And then this group of car thieves see him, assume that he's a car thief, get him in with them, and thus he sees this new life that he gets tangled up in. But he's really a bit of a good guy at heart because he falls for a woman as well and thinks we can just make some money and then get away with this. It was just really enjoyable and strangely felt like, things are there that you would associate with Billy Wilder, but obviously in a very rough early draft version. But the energy was there. The script was pretty, I thought, witty throughout, although it was a bit more sparse than many other scripts you work with. The characters were good. It was just, yeah, it was a good one. I watched that on Mubi, and I had a good time with it. I didn't have a good time with Teenage Zombies. I can't remember if I mentioned that last week. Did I mention Teenage Zombies? Can you recall?
No, you did not.
Oh,
You did
because I
not.
thought I thought maybe I blanked it. Teenage Zombies is, I mean, it's just really really bad, kind of laughably bad. So you can get some fun from it. Written and directed by Jerry Warren, and I couldn't recall if I'd seen anything else from Jerry Warren. He has a filmography that just has a number of titles in the same vein, and I'm assuming they're all at this level. Very few of his films rate very highly online. If you go through his career, his average is probably like 2.5 to 3 out of 10. So I'm not rushing to check out the others, but this one, it was pretty brief, although it felt longer. It was about 72, 73 minutes. There's a female scientist played by Catherine Victor. I quite like her on screen. She had a bit of a presence. There was, I think technically there was someone zombified. There were teenagers in there who would be threatened with zombification. And there was a random, lab uh, test animal who was a guy in a big gorilla suit. So that's always fun. I was waiting for the gorilla to go on a rampage and let that guy in the suit have his moment on screen. But yeah, it's not good. And I would assume that Jerry Warren is one of those people mentioned in conversations about consistently bad directors. Although again, fair play for getting something made. And at the start, I was like, oh, this is kind of a weird, like, Famous Five go to an island with a spooky scientist thing. Like, okay, they've done that rather than at least have a whole low budget film just set in a warehouse with different, photographs making up the backgrounds, as you can see sometimes. So, fair play for what he did get done, but it wasn't very good at the end of the day. Has anyone else enjoyed Teenage Zombies?
It's
No,
been a
I don't think
while,
I
but
would.
yeah.
No? Face of the Screaming Werewolf, perhaps, Greg?
Not to the best of my knowledge.
Terror of the Blood Hunters?
I may have watched them all before I had a stroke. Maybe they were the cause. I don't know.
Contributing factors.
I'm not sure.
What's happened, Doctor? Can't you see he's watched every one of these Jerry Warren movies? And that was me.
I have a soft spot for Jerry Warren. I mean, it's not a big soft spot, just I like that he existed.
Yeah, I think if I remember rightly, I was reading up on Teenage Zombies and how it got pieced together. And again, sometimes when, as long as people have made movies with the intent to make a movie, I'm still more dismissive of people running out with their phone for an hour and at the end having someone jump out from behind a tree and they think they're trying to rival the Blair Witch Project. I don't. I just no. I'm not into that. But if people have very very low budgets and a very limited sort of selection of people to hand, and they're working with the cast and crew that they can put together, then there's a little bonus point of goodwill for that.
Well, I mean, he did make The Wild World of Batwoman, which might be the worst film I have ever seen.
I
I
saw
don't
that
mean
on
that.
his filmography. I didn't want to mention it in case it
Yeah,
confused people about some DC offshoot.
and I don't mean that like I do not at all mean that sarcastically. That straight up might be the worst film I have ever seen.
I'll see
Have
it
we
because I mean that has Catherine Victor in it as well.
Yeah.
I think she was in many of his movies, maybe
Yeah,
most of them.
she's Batwoman. She's wearing a sexy outfit and weird, but are we doing season beatings this year, or are we doing, are we gifting things
Oh well,
nicely
not
this
now
time
you've
around?
mentioned the Wild World of Batwoman, man.
Because I was gonna say I might have to do that depending on what we're doing. Anyway, this week we watched the 1995 American black horror anthology film Tales from the Hood, the 2000 V Cinema supernatural horror film Ju-on: The Curse, the 1973 American exploitation thriller Hollywood 90028, and the 1973 British horror film The Creeping Flesh. Hey, Craig, would you like to pick a movie and tell us about it?
Yeah, go on, and I will go with Tales from the Hood. Tyler's pick. Hang on, I don't trust myself to do a wait there, a synopsis, so I'm going to steal it from online. A funeral director tells 4 strange tales of horror with an African American focus to 3 drug dealers he traps in his place of business. Yeah, I like Tales from the Hood. It is one of my favourite anthology films, and I am not. I'm going to be a real negative Nelly tonight. By the way, you're going to hear a lot of things that I don't like. I'm not a fan of anthology films. I feel because I like the idea of, get in, get out, tell a good story without padding, without bullshit. Just just a good, solid, short story without a lot of fucking about. But the problem is with a lot of films, I find that even with these shorter segments, there is padding, and it's just all about getting to the at the end and then soft paddling the way there. Films just don't work for me because there's, like I said, too much padding and just not a lot of depth. It's just all about that ironic little twist, and getting there can be a drag. But Tales from the Hood's different. This one really works for me. I think the cast are pretty much all fantastic. The 3 young actors who in the wraparound scene are not good, but Clarence Williams III makes up for that because he is so fucking dialed in and like gloriously unhinged. And like the hair, makeup, costume for his character, just all on point. He's fantastic. There are scenes like I've never known anyone like have such control over their sweat pores. Just like time to sweat, Clarence, and he just fucking sweats, bang on just on command. It's amazing. I think Michael Massey's really good. I think Hauser's really good. I mean, if you were to pick 2 people to play racist cops in the 90s, Michael Massey and Wings Hauser would be pretty much top picks. So that's some damn good casting. What's his name? David Alan Grier is absolutely like terrifying in his segment. Just a really, really horrible, like terrifying character who gets a really spectacular death. There's lots of like really great performances in this, all the stories work for me to some degree, or some degree or other. I don't feel like there's a lot of padding, a lot of relying too heavily on twists. They tell solid stories that really hold my interest, and they pack them with great actors. It looks really good. There's lots of these there's lots of red and green, like African colours, like popping through bits of the scenery. Like it's got a really, very 90s, very just a very 90s, look. It's a great looking film. Well, I feel like I could like it a little bit, but the thing is, I am extremely white, so I can understand what each one of these stories is going for. But of course, I'm never going to audience who hold these experiences closer and in a more personal way, and it's just going to hit harder for the audience that I feel it is made for. But I really like Tales from the Hood, and I'm going to be really disappointed, Tyler, when you make me watch Tales from the Hood 2, and I'm assuming Clarence Williams III is not in it, and I'm going to be just devastated.
He's not. He retired at that point. Let me finish. He's replaced with Keith David.
Okay, I'm all right. I'm good. But yeah, I really like Tales from the Hood. As I said, not a big fan of anthology films, but this one's a winner. It's up there for me. Tales from the Dark Side and Trilogy of Terror. Those are three that I really like.
I'm going to jump in because I'm not going to be quite as nice as Craig. Don't get me wrong. I really like a lot of Tales from the Hood. I really do. I absolutely love Clarence Williams III as Mr. Sims. He is great. I really like Hauser and Massey as the racist cops. David Alan Grier is terrifying in the second segment. Boys Do Get Bruised. All of the last two segments, I think, are fantastic. They just knock it out of the park and really embrace what the thing is going for, the film is going for. I have problems with other bits, and it's mostly with the cast. The three kids with Clarence William are terrible. And I need to underline that, as in they feel like and this is something I mentioned before, when we've seen some African-American led and directed films, is that a lot of times producers don't see people who aren't white in genre films, especially sci-fi. And if they're in horror, they, it's why I know the thing is, the black guy dies first, but usually it's just the black guy dies. Full stop. Even if they don't die first, if there's an African-American person in a horror movie, they die. Even if they're like one of the last ones to die, like Night of the Living Dead. I know I just spoiled an 80-year-old movie, and I'm sorry, but if you're listening to us and you haven't seen Night of the Living Dead, stop it right now. Watch Night of the Living Dead and then come back and be like, okay, why didn't I watch that before? But that's neither here nor there. But they feel like a producer's choice, where a producer went, this needs to be more urban, like a really old white guy sitting on bags of money formed into a throne. Was like, this is not, you got to amp them guys in the wraparound up at the very least. And they did, and they're painful to watch. Fortunately, you don't have to watch them a lot. But the problem with that is then you've got like the guy that leads the cop segment is Tom Wright, and he is not good. The Boys Do Get Bruised segment is led by Rusty Cundieff, who is the director and co-writer, and he is a terrible fucking actor. He deeply hurts his segment because he is unable to give these lines well. Well, they've got a little kid, Brandon Hammond, who is doing some heavy lifting, especially as a
Heartbreaking.
child actor. He does some great stuff. Paula Jai Parker shows up as his mom, and she's only in a little bit, but she does a really good job. Problem is, Cundieff is atrocious, and he undercuts 80% of that segment because he is unable to play the part. I don't know why he stepped in. Maybe the person they hired was sick, or there was some reason why he had to step in last minute. But like they ran out of budget and they just couldn't afford to hire one more actor. But he hurts it. He hurts it so much because this should be an absolutely fantastic segment, but instead he brings it down. Not only does he bring it down, the way they have his character act brings it down because he acts like somebody that's never dealt with an abused child before. And let me tell you, man, any teacher has dealt with a fucking abused child before and is smart enough to not say the words they say to the obviously abusive father when someone is frantically signaling at them to shut the fuck up. Now, I understand that as a personal quibble. And I understand this movie is not going for subtlety at all. But it does hurt the segment for me because this should be much stronger than it is. And I think that's a shame. Because it's got almost all the whole parts there. It's just it fails with one member of the cast who also happened to write it. So they doubled down on his bits. The third segment with Corbin Burnson and I'm going to fuck up the Roger Guinevere Smith. Is it Guinevere? Guineveau?
Yeah.
Okay. It's French, so there's U's where I would think there'd be I's and E's where I'd think there'd be U. But you know how it is. Okay. Is excellent. I fucking love that segment. That segment just knocks it out of the park. Corbin Burnson, nobody played shitty middle-aged white guy as good as Burnson did in the 90s and 2000s.
They just straight up just put David Duke on the screen and then
they did. He just
did that.
It just flows out of him and he's fantastic in it. He's awful, but he's great being awful. And it's a really good segment. The stop motion work is strong. The rest of the folks in it are decent, and then the fourth segment is fantastic. Lamont Bentley plays the lead in that one, and he just knocks it out of the park. It's also the last thing Rosalind Cash was in, and she's probably best known. She was in the Omega Man in '71 with Charlton Heston, and she played Mary May Ward on General Hospital for fucking ever. I think she started, or I'm confusing her with the person who played it for a long time. Whatever. It's late. I'm tired. I can't keep soap actors straight in my head. I'm sorry. It's not personal. Any of them. There's so many recastings. But I overall like it. I like a lot of it. I just wish that the parts that were weak were just a little, because they should be stronger. The stuff for them to be stronger is there, and it's just down to, I don't know if it's down to money or time or what, but there's something that's missing. So instead of getting like a great anthology, which it could be, we get this underbaked little, it's good. It will fill that little horror loving hole in your eyes for a little while, but it's not as good as it should be. Honestly, it's just not as good as it should be.
Well, I think if you want your slice of seasonal spookiness in anthology form, in African American centric anthology form, then you really can't do any better than watching Hood of Horror, which is the film I always think of when someone says to me, "Have you seen Tales from the Hood?" And I say, "Yes, I have. I enjoyed that one." I'm always thinking of Hood of Horror. Snoop Dogg's Hood of Horror, which is a great, fun film and better than this. I just don't like it. I'm sorry. I just don't. I was going to try and pussyfoot around things and try and be nice and coy, but I just don't like Tales from the Hood, and I've rewatched it a few times now, and it hasn't got any better for me. Now, I would add all of the provisions that Craig and Dave would go with. Certainly, just being this more, I think, more pale than Craig, British person because of the years spent in overcast Scotland, and not necessarily being as being as receptive to all of the extra uh, cultural touches. I think it could be running through Tales from the Hood. I'm putting that as a provision. It may add something for others. It may not. But with Tales from the Hood, I really like the wraparound. It's great. Like that. That's the highlight for me. And I agree that Clarence Williams III is superb. It's great, and it's the absolute highlight of the film. With the other segments, they're either just not good enough. Like that first story is just it's just there to me. It's no good. The second story, if I'm remembering right, that's The Boys Do Get Bruised. That I can't recall if it was a Twilight Zone or Outer Limits story or just feels like it. And I know a lot of anthology segments have that feeling anyway. It's the very nature of anthology segments. But it feels more so like it. And perhaps that's because it's like it never really develops the atmosphere. I don't get any sense of real mystery from it. And as Dave said, Cundieff sort of scuppers the whole thing with such a bad main performance in that segment. I agree, Corbin Bernsen is brilliant. I'm basically playing David Duke, and he's great in the third section, but then that just feels like, oh, we need to do a bit that will remind people of Asylum or, Trilogy of Terror mixed together. Obviously, there's the extra satisfaction of watching this, a horrible racist get his comeuppance. I don't like the last part. It's even more so than many other stories that you could have in this kind of format. It all feels a little bit pointless. I would have rather they gave us more expansion on the wraparound and linked in elements that are in the last story from there. So it just, it just doesn't work for me. It never, I don't think it ever sort of really gets its footing once it moves away from the wraparound. Every time we go back there, I am happy, and the I'm enjoying the performance from Clarence Williams III. I'm enjoying the overall concept of it. Even before I'd seen this for the first time, as you're watching the wraparound, you've got a good idea where it's going if you've seen an anthology horror movie before, and that's all part of the fun. I think the guys getting shown around by Mr. Sims, I think they all do well, and sort of just treading water while they're between tales in a way that doesn't feel too ridiculous. I like that. None of the actual main stories ever do enough to. It's almost like two steps forward, one step back because you're going to that wraparound, and that is the forward. And none of the others do enough for me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, T. It doesn't. It doesn't inspire any sort of major vitriol from me or anything. I'm always really sad to then be reminded of, oh yeah, this is one I actually don't like. It just it it's never worked for me, and I think this is probably my third or fourth viewing. And as I say, when people ask me about it, I usually say, "Oh yeah, that's a fun one," and I'm thinking of Hood of Horror, which I'm surprised Tyler didn't also make us watch this month. But who knows what he'll have for us by the end of the month.
I do agree with Kevin about one thing. Hood of Horror is great and super underrated in terms of anthologies. It's really good. I love Hood of Horror. Um, but yeah, I love Tales from the Hood. For me, it's just a bona fide 90s horror classic. One of the few anthologies where I genuinely love all the stories too. I mean, this came out like 4 years after the Rodney King incident. I think it was like 4 years. And yeah, and that first segment just really reflects that. But I mean, what's really fucking depressing is how timely and relevant the commentary still is today. I mean, between the police brutality of African Americans and the piece of shit racist running in politics. I mean, all the social commentary is still just as raw and vicious as it was in 1995 when this came out. The monster segment being a commentary on child abuse and domestic violence, and just the final segment being a brutal commentary on black crime. This movie truly doesn't hold back with its themes. Being subtle isn't something these filmmakers give two shits about, and it's just I think it's fucking great. I think the FX still hold up incredibly well. Those dolls have such a wonderful stop motion mid '90s charm. I love those dolls. They look great. Um, and yeah, man, Corbin Burnson, dude, from the dentist to this, the dude can play such a vile piece of shit, and he's so good at it. I love the wraparound segment. Like I'm gonna echo what you guys said. Clarence Williams III is absolutely fucking amazing as Mr. Sims. Just every line of dialogue, just he just delivers just perfectly. I love him so much in this movie.
I
The
imagine like
soundtrack.
directing him for those. I bet every take was different. Every take was different and insane in its own. I'd love to see like the outtakes. Just every line reading that guy had.
Oh, I bet you they had a hard time trying to pick a take that was just perfect enough. And they were just probably like going through this. Which one should we use? These are all so fucking good. I can just imagine it. He's wonderful in this role. I love him in this. And I am spoiler. I'm gonna pick the fucking sequel, very soon here. But it definitely is. He's definitely gonna be missed. I think he was passed away by the time the second one came out. I'm not entirely sure, but I know he did pass away. I just wasn't sure about the timeline of it. But yeah, um, the soundtrack in this man was what a fucking banger of just hip hop tunes. You get the Wu Tang Clan, Gravediggers, Old Dirty Bastard, Corrupt. I love every song on this goddamn soundtrack. It's so good. But yeah, like I said, this movie for me is a fucking classic and one of the very, very best horror films of the 90s. I put this up there with like Scream and just all the 90s classics. This is just a wonderful, wonderful anthology. Love this movie.
Just for the record, Williams had retired. He didn't die until he passed away in 2021.
Okay.
The sequel came out in 2018, I think.
Yeah,
So
I knew it was like bordering on the late
yeah,
2010s. I just wasn't sure when it was. I knew he passed away, but yeah, he passed away in 2020. Is that me picking?
yeah. It's always you picking. Why?
All right, all right.
Why
Let's see.
what?
I'm
You
gonna.
should
You know what?
know.
I'm gonna go with my second favorite pick of the week. I'm gonna go with Juan the Curse, which is about a teacher who visits the house of one of his students after the boy goes missing, only to have a horrifying excuse for his absence from school. I'm going to say something a little controversial here, guys, but I think this is one of the very best films of the entire Juan Grudge franchise. And this being the one that jump started the entire franchise makes it even better. It looks and feels like a micro budget experimental student film, which just gives this movie such a gloomy, dark atmosphere. I mean, this is such a dark, gloomy, depressing little movie. I love it. The sounds, the the low res video quality, the static shots. I loved everything about how this movie looked. Um, I honestly think the super low budget totally works in its favor for this particular movie. I mean, there's some wonderful nightmare fuel imagery here. The stories are all structured incredibly well too. I mean, totally non-linear in the most Ju-on way possible, but it works. I mean, this movie truly shows how talented of a filmmaker Takashi is by taking so little and making fucking gold out of it. Just it's short, effective, creepy as fuck. Yeah, just this is a great one. Really, really good pick, Dave.
If I go,
Um, I was
you
going
go,
to jump
Kevin. You
in
go.
if
You
it's
jump
yeah.
in.
I waited too long last time while I was trying to remember. I had to mention Hood of Horror. Yeah, they've picked this one. I've always been a big fan of the Ju-on series. It is one of those films that I actually feel the I mean, I'll be more controversial than Tyler. The Ju-on the Grudge, I actually feel the remake might have even improved things slightly, just because it didn't jig the chronology about as much and was all about the scares and the atmosphere. But the Ju-on series has always been. It feels like an anthology horror movie series. It's a series of moments, um, effective scares, effective uh, strangeness, even when there's nothing, that would be overtly disturbing or creepy at the forefront. It's kind of disturbing and creepy all the way through. They're really atmospheric. I've seen a lot of them. I've seen a few, but I always forget the ones that I haven't seen because there are so many different installments that cover similar ground and then have bits edited from others into them as well. Like I think part of this is edited into the first or second Ju-on the Grudge, and then this stems from there was a short film that was just 444, I think, or maybe there's another couple of fours in there. Which I meant to get around to this week and add as a bit of homework. So I'm sorry, Dave. I didn't get homework done, and I meant to because I have that really nice box set, and I was like, I could just dive right in and wallow in all this Ju-on goodness, but I was not able to do that. I like this. I think it's a really like for the start of the features of the series, everything's in place. It's really good. You do get that fractured sort of non-chronological approach. You do. I mean, you get everything. Apart from maybe the weird croaky noise. I can't remember hearing that in this one. Unless I've already forgotten. I was quite traumatized by the weird moment with the figure in the street being approached by the vengeful spirit and like the plastic. It was like a bin bag. That for me was one of the highlights this time around. It was really freaking me out as it was playing out. Just yeah, it's the good shit when you're looking for your spooky season viewings that just have random highlights that will freak you out and give you goosebumps. You can do a lot worse in the Ju-on series. I think this was a really solid one. Really good. I am right. She didn't do the sort of death rattle croaky noise in this one, did she?
It happens once or twice,
Does it?
but not as
Oh, it's
not as much as like the American one does, where it's non fucking stop.
yeah. It might have been. I don't know. It might have been a bit lower in the sound mix as well. I'm used to it like being the blasting noise that signifies it's time to change my underwear once again. But I didn't know. So. But yeah, well, there you go. It's all kind of there from this. And again, it's only I think the short is only about 3 minutes, and I'm kicking myself because I forgot to make time for it. I'm
Uh,
sorry, Dave,
quick
but it's not the
quick
not the
note:
first time I've
there's
disappointed you.
two shorts.
Are they both
Kat-
called the same
Katsumi,
thing?
no, there's Katsumi
Oh,
and 44444444444. It's a phone number. The 10 fours.
yes, because
Yeah,
apparently there's some term I can't remember what it is, but
death.
four can mean death, or it's similar to
It
the
it's a it's a
some of the
it's a tetra uh it's a tetraphobia is what they call it. It's avoiding the number 4. It's because they sound that they're both shin. Or no, they're both shin. But shin is like Japanese is one of those languages where there's a lot of words that kind of repeat, very similar words, but it's all about the pronunciation, and I'm not good enough with even English to attempt it.
So tetraphobia is not when you freak out when Tetris starts speeding up after you
No,
think you've been doing really well for a few levels.
That's tetraphobia, not tetraphobia. There's a difference.
And the character does get a call from that number in this film, if I remember right. So that's that reminded me that there was at least that one short film. I'd forgotten all about Katsumi, but yeah, again, I wish I made time for at least the shorts and to try and be a completist. But one day I'll just have such a full on Ju-on day that Vicky will come in and only find me when she opens the door to the attic, and I crawl out to give her a fright.
Yeah, I'm gonna get a little something off my chest. This review, like something the horror community, if you can, that something they do regularly annoys the shit out of me, and that's especially on social media. They judge horror movies based just entirely on how scary they are. Got to be scary, like it's their only criteria for whether a horror movie is good. And if it's not, they don't deem it scary, then they decide it's not even. And it really fucking bothers me because a horror film does not have to be scary at all. There are lots of other criteria. And conversely, being scary does not immediately make for a good horror film. And that is kind of where I stand with the Grudge series, because they scare the shit out of me. In terms of movies that scare the shit out of me, I would put them collectively in the top 5 of movies that made me shit my pants real bad. But as movies outside of how pretty I like the vibe. I like the vibe. Like they're not found footage, obviously, but they have that feel to it where you're watching something forbidden or cursed. You know, I like that, but also like each scene for me, each scene feels so disconnected from the last or the next that it kind of might as well be an anthology, really. Like, I know the stories, all the little stories are part of one larger connected narrative, but it just, for me, it's a bit incoherent. It's ultimately a series of set pieces, and like they're very good ones, fucking nerve shredding ones, but they don't really connect with me. Like I need a lead character, maybe less segments with greater character development for who is in it. You know, not 6 different actors. You know, maybe like 3. Just I need some human element that is missing from them to really enjoy them. Like the actors are really solid, but I feel like paper thin would be too generous. Like they're not characters, they're props. They're props in these frightening set pieces, and that's what hurts the film for me. That's why I don't ever love them as much as I want to, despite the fact that they have these brilliant suspense scenes, and they are brilliant. Like the makeup designs, the sound design is spectacular. The blocking and staging are fantastic. Like they all land. Like suspense sequences, they land, but they don't land half as if I gave a shit about any single person on screen. And I don't care. And that keeps me at a distance from them. It's a shame. Like poo my pants every time I watch one of these films. And I've seen them before, and they still get to me. But I just want a little more. I just want to connect with a human being, or connect with them enough for the themes to connect, and they just don't for me. But I don't dislike them. That's my issue with them. But I had a decent but frustrating time with Ju-on as I usually do.
Well, I love this series. It's one of my all-time favorites. I would put it up there with one of the greatest horror franchises out there. As I was saying to Craig before we started recording, there's maybe one perfect horror franchise which knocks all but one film out of the gate, and that's Child's Play. And for me, a second that you could nominate is Ju-on. Now they aren't all bangers, but the majority, like the first 6 films, are all excellent. And then the first American reboot is fine. The second American remake is it's okay. The third and fourth American remakes are well, they're shit. But we're not going to talk about those. I really enjoyed this one. It clips along really fast. I mean, they've got a very limited amount of time. This is only 70 minutes. So in an hour and 10 minutes, they have to cram in as much as they possibly can, because this was done as V Cinema, which is the Japanese version of direct-to-video. So they had to cram in as much as they could, hopefully to get attention and make money and be able to do a second one. Fortunately, it made a ton of money. They got to do a second one, and then they got to do 4 feature films, and then it worked out okay. I think it's fantastic. I think the cast that we get are really good. There is no one, there's no focal point. There's not, but I am actually okay with that. It really does lean into a big cultural difference. Because here in the West, we very much do focus on, we need a lead character. A haunting has to be targeted. It has to be a person or an item. And in Ju-on, it's anyone that comes in contact with anyone that's come in contact with. So, there's a difference, and I get why that would not work for some people. There are so many onryo in this series by the end that I'm not sure how Japan is not all just murderous ghosts wandering around, but that's neither here nor there. I think it's fantastic. It has a performance from Kiriyama Chiaki, who I adore. She's a really strong performer, probably best known for stuff around the same time here in the West. She's in Battle Royale. She's in Kill Bill Volume 1, and she's in Sion Sono's Exed. But had actually a really good career after that also, just not so much stuff here in the States. She's really good as Mizuo, a teenage girl waiting for someone who's probably who's fallen victim to the curse as it spreads. I adore Takoko Fuji Takoko as Kayako. She also, she played Kayako in, I believe, everything from the first short Katsumi all the way through to the American Grudge 2, which is like, I think it's like a decade of playing that character. I could be wrong. It might be a little shorter. She mostly does voice acting now, so sometimes you'll pick up I'll watch something bootlegged and I'll hear her voice over somebody that should not sound like that. I love it. I think it's a fantastic series. I think Takashi Shimizu just knocked it out of the park early on, and it is a good one. Again, still, it's a favorite series of mine, and well worth checking out. I guess I will go with Hollywood 90028. As soon as let me find my notes. This was actually the first film I watched this week, which I don't know if that was a wise move or not. It is it's written, produced, and directed by Christina Hornisher, who I don't know if she actually made anything. I think she did make some other stuff. She made Terror in the... No, she wrote some shorts, but 2 shorts and this were the only things she did, and I've never seen these shorts. She has worked as a producer on some TV movies in the 80s, and she did some like editing and script and continuity work. But this is her only feature. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of a way to describe it. So it's about a freelance photographer who has settled into Los Angeles, trying to become a cinematographer. He can only really get work shooting shorts of pornography for a very large man named Jobel. He finds himself unable to engage with women and instead strangles them to death. One day on a shoot, he meets Michelle, played by Jeanette Dilger. I'm sorry, and he's played by a Christopher Augustine. I don't know, like off the top of my head, I don't know anything else that they've done or been in. I think
I don't think anybody involved in this film ever did anything else.
well, no,
weird.
Augustine did still do some stuff afterwards. He got into I think commercial producing. I did look into him. He got into producing commercials and did a couple other like small things. He actually worked on Elton John in concert. I don't know in what way. I didn't dig that deep into it. I just went, that was like the last thing I fucking expected in this guy's filmography. Jeanette Dilger actually was married to Pete Sears, who is a composer and actor who did music for Dogtown Redemption and a bunch of other stuff. Just, I do my research. He's actually, I think he's a member of he's a member of a band, and I should fucking know who this is. I should know it, but I cannot. I'm gonna kick myself when I think of it. I don't know why I can't think of it. Starship. He's a member of Starship. Jefferson Starship. Hot Tuna. Also, I don't know why it took me that long to remember fucking Jefferson Starship. I feel really dumb right now. Anyway, I like the idea of this movie. There's a lot of it's willing to take a look. Like a lot of just 10 years, not even 10 years later, like 5 years later, this does a lot of things that like Fade to Black and When a Stranger Calls does, where it tries to take a look at a predator. It doesn't really do it well, and that's kind of the problem. It's a little too, I don't know, it's a little too desperate to make you feel for Mark. It's a little too try hard in its justifications of Mark. But it does try, and it tries to make you care about Michelle also, and like I think it's really close to doing something good and being good, but instead we just get an interesting. We have an for me an interesting little no budget thriller from the mid 70s. I didn't hate it. I kind of liked it. Uh, I did. I'm not gonna say anybody should run out and find it. I think the ending is kind of a cop out. Uh, just like overall, the whole ending is kind of a cop out. But I think there's like an interesting little romance in the middle of it that I mostly enjoyed. Seeing two losers get to know each other and learn each other's backstory. I didn't hate it. I liked it a lot more than I thought I would. And while talking about it, I liked it even more than I did in my notes. So I think this is a pretty good pick. This is a movie I'd never even heard of before, and I love a pleasant surprise. This was a pleasant surprise. I don't think I'd recommend it to anybody because it's no, I would recommend it to some people. Just nobody I speak to in person because they will judge me for it. But this is interesting. If you want an interesting little independent thriller, I you can do like way worse.
Can you contain yourself, Tyler, or do you want to go now? All right, you go.
Yeah, I can go. This wasn't quite as grimy and trashy as I was hoping it would be. That's all on me because I was just
I was
expecting something
expecting it to be a
different.
little bit more
But
Tyler, so.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it still has a somewhat like sleazy atmosphere that I love in these low budget 70s exploitation flicks. I mean, after the first murder, though, it pretty much just dives headfirst into being an LA set character study of this John Holmes looking dude. I mean, it's like Dave said, it's also kind of a romance too, which I was not expecting at all going into this. This kind of goes like the Maniac route. Now, this isn't nearly as violent or as gory as Maniac. I'm not comparing the two like that. But Maniac also kind of delves into a romance as well, which this is why that it reminded me of that film. But I struggle to even really call this an exploitation film, to be totally honest. I mean, yeah, there's a subplot of him being a porn filmmaker, but it's not really exploitative in the way that I like my 70s
I
exploitation
mean,
to
the thing
be,
is,
if
it
that
does
makes
make
any
sense.
sense.
Like I think
Definitely
that's
more
even
of a
one of my
thriller.
notes. Is like Tyler's so disappointed in this movie.
Yeah, I really was. I didn't hate anything about this movie though, which is the thing. It's definitely more of a thriller, and if I had my like expectations in check as a thriller, I would have been fine with it. But there's some wonderful location photography in this. I mean, probably all shot without permits, which makes it even better. I mean, sometimes it feels like you're genuinely just watching a 70s LA travel log. Like that's what I thought watching this movie. Just yeah, this is a fucking travel log that they're shooting here. But I did enjoy the movie as it went along. I was like enjoying it more and more, knowing that it wasn't the exploitation film I thought it was going to be. But at the same time, I still felt disappointed because, like something like Bone Lake, which I just watched, I feel like the poster for this told me something different than I was given. But what I was given, I still liked. It just wasn't the movie that I was hoping it would be. But it's still like a solid 6 or 7 out of 10. It's just it's kind of there. It's just I was
You know
disappointed a
what?
little bit.
You know what it is. I thought of this while you were talking. Sorry. It's a if Tom Waits had written a movie in the 70s,
No,
it yeah, it feels like a Tom Waits
that's
song,
actually perfect.
like an extended music video.
Well, I expected to have to put up the umbrella to protect myself from more gushing from Tyler there. So I
No,
am surprised.
I knew there was going to be a little disappointment in Tyler's voice.
I liked this. It was funnily enough, as I was watching this, I thought it was a nice kind of flip flop between us, Craig. With you'd mentioned magic, and we'd noticed how indebted it was to Psycho in a couple of places. and Hollywood 90028 feels, well, obviously quite related to Peeping Tom, as well
Yeah.
as other films that would be around the same time or even after it. But yeah, I was getting Peeping Tom vibes, and not in a bad way. Like, this is the sort of thing I can watch and take interest in. Pick more like this and less like Even Hitler Had a Girlfriend, and I'll be a much happier, more sane individual. This is because in theory, this could be seen as like a very similar film, in that it's a character study of someone who's very lonely, who isn't able to do what they really want to do, and who ends up viewing a number of women in different ways. Um, uh, he is there's a character who is fed up of a young woman talking at one point and just strangles her and throws her body into the sea, and that's where the fuse has gone at that point. It's I'm laughing about it because it is, in the film, it feels like such a, it's a weirdly, not throwaway, but yeah, it's almost like so
Well,
flippantly done.
throwaway is a good word because the women are made throwaway
Well,
by
yeah,
the
and
protagonist's job, and
yes, and as things descend into sort of more madness and frustration and all the blend of feelings that are hurtling around, it's interesting that it just, their actions become obviously less, they'll spend less time thinking about things and just act on impulse, and that's it. But it was, yeah, it was a good, yeah, I would say it was just a good film. It's hampered by being a little bit more rough around the edges than many people might want to put up with. I mean, it looks like Citizen Kane after you've watched the Jerry Warren movie in the same week. I'll tell you that. But I think Christina Hornisher does a really good job. And I think there is enough scattered throughout in the writing to, like, it's something you watch and then you start to look around each scene a bit more, and you start to attune your ear to what people are saying with their full conversations, or what they're maybe not saying or just implying as they're discussing themselves or the situation. And I really like that. I mean, I liked the ending. The whole thing was never going for any subtlety. I thought it was quite a, like, for what the film is doing, it was quite an impressive ending. I actually really like the last shot. I was I was properly impressed by how they did that. In other movies, that might not seem so impressive, but in this movie, it was kind of a big to do to present that. It felt spectacular in a way, just because of how the rest of the movie was. And so it felt like a really great final moment. And I was really impressed with it by that point. So yeah, I mean, I would have got to this eventually because it popped up on Mubi, but it was just one that I didn't necessarily have much optimism for going in. I wasn't sure what direction it would go in. I don't think I would have enjoyed this as much if it had been more Tylerific, and I did think it was got to be more Tylerific, and maybe just feel to me a bit more like disposable, a bit more in line with many other like exploitation movies from the 70s. But it actually ended up being quite a bit better than that. And when I mentioned Peeping Tom, I never viewed that as a comparison that meant this film suffered in contrast. Obviously, I mean, Peeping Tom is, to me and to many others, is an absolute masterpiece and 10 out of 10 classic and has everything going for it. But when I was just thinking of the thematic connections and the way it was using certain elements and doing its own thing, when I was comparing and contrasting to, as that wasn't an unfavorable thing, which is a testament to it. That holds up well. Like Dave, I don't know who I would recommend this to face to face, but I think there's certainly people that listen to our podcast that would get something from this. Yeah, good choice, Craig.
Okay. Yeah, as Kevin said, this one was on Mubi, and I was scrolling. It's got a bunch of numbers in the title, so it's probably some piece of impenetrable art house fare that will bore me senseless. But I delved deeper, so I didn't make another mistake like the Wayans brothers for Blackening. I thought I was going to go and look further into it, and I saw an exploitation movie from the 70s with a female director, which, that piqued my interest. Then I read a bunch of reviews that said that at least half of the reviews were people like shook to their core by the final shot. Like, you have got to watch this movie, you've got to see the final shot of this movie. So, yeah, I was in, and at that point, and so were you guys, I decided. And yeah, I really liked this one. When Tyler was saying it's not really a hardcore exploitation film like he likes. Yeah, I saw this as in a weird way this is almost an anti-exploitation, because it's exploiting exploitation, if that makes any sense. It's someone trying to make an art film, but to get it made, they've had to dress it up as an exploitation film. And I just found that really interesting. Going on, just kind of fascinating stuff about cultural decay and moral decay, the way those two things feed into each other and grow larger. LA as absolutely as its own character in the film, as almost like a siren, using a siren call to bring all these young people into it and dashing their hopes and dreams against the rocks. I found it really, really interesting. It's definitely, I mean, I like the characters, and I thought that both performances are really good. You got Christopher Augustine, he's got that surface charm hiding deep well of nothing, which I thought was really good. And Jeanette, was it Dilger? I thought she was absolutely fantastic. She plays a character who's kind of broken and defeated. This kind of person who, because she's been to LA and LA has taken so much from her, she feels almost spent before she's hit 25, and she plays that really well. She does this monologue. Well, it's not a monologue because it's to someone, but there's this conversation. Augustine's character, where she explains her move to LA and what she went through. It's a really kind of heartbreaking monologue, and she delivers it so well, and it moved me. And as this film went on, I kept finding that it moved me in strange ways. Like, there's a scene in this film, I thought I was getting a dingy exploitation film, but one of my favourite scenes in this film is two people making spaghetti bolognese and then eating it. And I can't even really say why, but just watching those two people, make food for each other, there was something there. There was something that moved me, and it worked. Like Dave said, maybe it goes a bit too hard in trying to let this character off the hook, but it wants you to care, and I did care. I cared about both, Dilger's character more. Jeanette Dilger's character I cared for more, but I did find myself becoming involved. I was into that relationship to it all. Like it's not what I expected. It's contemplative. It's got things on its mind that it's more interested in than the exploitation. And when you see exploitation bits like the sex scenes, the porn scenes, or the strangulation, it's not interesting. To be honest, they're the weakest part of the film, and I don't know whether that's intentional, but the strangling scenes are just actually terrible. They're not convincing, and that's where it falls down a little bit. But I definitely feel like the director trying to sneak through this story about LA as a symptom of something that we can see today about like how and the effect that pornography is having on men and society and culture. And I feel like she was having a little kind of spot on about some of it, and I think it's really well made. I think all of the music in this film is beautiful. I think the location shooting is fantastic. There's a scene where he's the character, the protagonist is driving to Dilger's character's house, and it's so beautifully shot. This nighttime drive, I was really impressed. Not all of it is great. Like the AD exploitation elements are quite badly handled, but there's something about it. There's so much warmth to it that I wasn't expecting. There was so much warmth, and every time there's these little like touching moments of the warmth between these characters appeared. I knew, but I was I was touched by it. I did love that end. I did love that final. I thought it was pretty wonderful. I think every shot of it's a nice distillation of the themes. But yeah, that last shot is great. I really like Hollywood 90028. It's a strange, sad little film, and I'll just recommend it to people. I don't care if they like it or not. I just want to put them through the ringer, or have them think they're going through the ringer, to actually just get quite a nice, touching, sweet movie. I think very unexpected, but yeah, I didn't expect it to move me, but it did, which is nice. Not really what we all want from PP Horror Month, but it's not a horror movie. The themes of it are kind of horrifying and quite tangible next to the horror themes of the real horror films we've watched this week.
I think you're just delaying now because you need to give the summary for The Creeping Flesh.
I've done a summary today.
Well, it's back at you, buddy.
The Creeping Flesh. Peter Cushing heads off to Papua New Guinea, finds the skeleton of, brings it back to England, and discovers that it contains pure evil, and shenanigans occur. I am always torn when we the Hammer films, or in this case Hammer adjacent films, because subjectively they don't really click with me, but objectively I can see what is good about them and what works, and it's just trying to find that middle ground and be able to be objective about them. But I am torn, so I was quite glad that The Creeping Flesh was just a bit of a lousy film, which I didn't like. Just it's not very good. Because there's a kernel of a good idea. It's definitely at the center of it, there is a good idea. Center of it, because there are too many distractions in this film. Like, if I was being generous, I would say that this, and that is why it's unfocused and nothing really lands. But I'm not feeling all that generous. So I think Creeping Flesh essentially is like, you know, those posters that people take to the Cannes. Like, they haven't shot a second. They don't have a script. They're just taking the poster, you know, to get investment. And that's kind of how I felt about this. Title had a cool poster. They had Cushing and Lee's names above the title, and they got some money to make the film. But somebody somewhere has, they have to craft a motion picture, and this doesn't feel crafted. It just feels cobbled together with a lot of filler, like a knockoff soft toy stuffed with used band-aids. Like, it's not well put together. I know that's a bit there's nothing outright terrible here, but it's just uninteresting and kind of unenjoyable. Can you unenjoy something? I don't know. Like, Cushing is phenomenal as always. Like, Cushing is so good. There's a scene where he confronts his daughter for like trespassing in his sacred wife shrine, and it's kind of wild to see Peter Cushing bringing his absolute A game to a C- movie. A movie he probably knows is a C- movie, but he does not give a fuck. He is giving everything to it, and I love that about Peter Cushing. I think Lorna Hellebrun, fucking excellent as well. I think it's a frustrating, underwritten role, which I'd say it leans into a. Don't expand on it enough for us to know what they're trying to say about the character, because it's underwritten. I think she deserved better. A better part, a better film. I don't know. Lee's fine. I think, unlike Cushing, Lee cannot. If a role is beneath him, he cannot hide it as well. Sleepwalk through some roles, and he does a bit here. But sleepwalking Christopher Lee is still effective. You believe you go for a piss in the middle of the night, and he's stumbling through the house, mumbling about God knows what. It'd be terrifying. So sleepwalking Christopher Lee is fine. It's reasonably atmospheric. The FX, they have their charm. The finger dildo, all times. I don't know. It never gives any reason to care. I didn't care about anything. I should have done. I definitely should have cared about Hellebrun's character, but it's so unfocused. By the hour mark, I just checked the fuck out, which is annoying because that's when the flesh starts creeping around. But I was totally checked out by the hour mark. Like I said, like the cast are good and they do only do much. I feel there's a cynicism to this production in that it kind of feels like an after. Like, the people who produced it, I don't think they put their best. I think it just feels like an afterthought for everyone involved in the production, apart from Cushing and Hellebrun. And in that, when that's the case, it becomes the afterthought for me. It just doesn't connect. Like, Peter Cushing rules, but this is not one of his best roles. Far from it.
Yeah, well, the thing is, once you go outside of certain movies, Cushing's just did not get the offers that he should have.
No.
I'm not that far from where Craig is on it. I really like Cushing, Lee, and Oh, I was just looking at her name, and I just
Helebron?
yes, Helebron. Thank you. Yes, Helebron. I think they all give solid performances in a B tier film, and it is a B movie, and obviously the people making it have to know it is. The script is not good. The effects are, they do have charm. They do have a lot of charm to it. This was directed by Freddie Francis, who actually won 2 Academy Awards and 5 BAFTAs. He directed a bunch of films for Amicus and Hammer. He did The Evil of Frankenstein, which is one I love. Dracula Has Risen from His Grave. He shot a bunch of stuff for David Lynch too. He was the cinematographer on The Elephant Man, Dune,
Oh, wow.
and Straight Story. He also shot Glory and Martin Scorsese's Cape Fear. Dude knew how to
Oh,
make a movie
man.
look good. It does not really land in this one. There's some nice shots. Don't get me wrong. He shot The Innocents also, I think. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think he also shot The Innocents. Like, the dude knows how to make a movie look good, I mean, he has a hell of an eye. Now, granted, he was kind of handcuffed this. This is almost all on sound stages, and when it's not, it's still a sound stage filled with people in awful period drag. He directed a ton of movies also, like an absolute ton of films. He did the Ringo Starr Son of Dracula. I'm sorry, it's stuck in my head now as I'm talking about it. Anyway, it's just not the best for all those involved because there's a lot of talent in front of him behind the camera. The problem is the story just doesn't do anything. You know where everything is going from the moment it starts.
Anytime Peter Cushing gets excited about a scientific endeavor, you know it's going to shit.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, so there's no surprise, which hurts it. And I don't even think there would have been surprise if I saw this when it was new. If I was, shuffled into a theater in 1973, I still would have known everything that was going to happen at every moment. And ultimately, I think that's its biggest problem. There's no surprise. There's no sense of wonder. There's no, and this is right after Tales from the Crypt. Tales from the Crypt, which is also a Freddie Francis film, as I recall, is a great early 70s anthology. He knocks it out of the park. It's got the I think the score is by the same guy that did Witchfinder General, and everybody's just kind of doing the bare minimum that they can with it, except for Cushing and Lee and Hellebrand, who are both doing heavy lifting in something that is not nearly worth the effort they are putting into it. And there's some really interesting ideas that they just kind of don't go with, like what happens to Hellebrand's character. They could have done some interesting things and made some interesting statements, but instead it's just kind of done, and we gloss over it for the rest for old men doing stuff. Now, I will give it credit for having mad science. Anytime a movie has mad science done on screen that gets increasingly mad as it goes along, I give it a thumbs up. But it just does not land for me. I want it to. I want it to so much, but it just doesn't. And hold on, one more
Yeah,
thing. Why the
I
fuck
love
did
Peter
he go to New
Cushing.
Guinea
Are you done or no?
when
Okay,
he could
sorry.
have got that same fucking skeleton at Lowe's for $40?
He's Peter Cushing, Dave. He's not wandering into Lowe's. He's got to Papua New Guinea. He's showing them the right British way to do things, and then he's elegantly transporting it back to Britain.
Peter Cushing lived in Whitstable. He would have gone into fucking Lowe's and bought the yard skeleton. All right. So
No, I refuse to believe it. La 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 la.
You don't know. You don't know he didn't go to Lowe's.
Was Lowe's even
Fucking
a
gun.
thing in 1970s?
No, I don't know if it would have been Lowe's, but just a hardware store, okay? Gee.
I think more like a Scotty's or something. That seems more 70s.
I do.
Remember
Oh,
Scotty's, Dave? That was like an old
Heckinger's. It would have been
hardware
a
store back in
Heckinger's.
the
100%. Heckinger's. Yeah, fuck yeah.
Heckinger's. Judging by the one that looked in here, I would say more Dollar General, but that's just me. Um, Look, I love Peter Cushing. Dude is always great, and he's great here. I love Christopher Lee again. Always good. He's in top form. But this was definitely my least favorite movie of the week. I found the whole thing just super uneventful and boring. A movie with Cushing and Lee playing like rival scientist half brothers should be amazing, but this is just kind of there. Like I'm usually perfectly fine with a slow burn build, but there was just nothing keeping my attention in this plot at all. It started to grab me a bit towards the third act, and I actually kind of liked the ending, but it just took way too goddamn long to get there. And by the time it did, I was just like checked out. It looks good visually for the most part and atmospheric throughout. I mean, that skeleton monster thing kind of looked a little goofy. But I would have went with it if the movie was a little bit better. I didn't hate any of this. It just disappointing when you have these two leads and the movie ends up feeling like a giant, like shoulder shrug of meh. It's kind of there. Just it's an uneventful movie with two great leads that just should have been a lot better.
I didn't hate it. I'm just disappointed. Quote from Tyler Hosley on the poster for The Creeping Flesh. Son of a bitch. I get it. So I did
Perfect.
say there was a reason for me picking this. So I may have told this tale many times before. When I was very young, and my parents were still together, and they were going out at the weekend, there would be a couple of different babysitters, and one was a young guy who I remember, like on a Friday or Saturday night, you would have the double bill, and they were Hammer or Hammer adjacent horror movies. They were on quite late, and I was always pestering him, "Can I stay up and watch this?" And he would let me stay up and watch these movies if I would leave him in peace. Well, he recorded almost all of my parents' vinyl collection because he was just digging through their albums and recording everything. So he'd be doing that with his headphones on. I would be on the sofa, might have a snack, be watching films that I was far too young to be watching. Like, I'm pretty sure I was 5 or 6 years old watching this. So, The Creeping Flesh, when I first watched it, I was already at a young age impressed by Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee. I was blown away by this freaky skeleton oozing menace in every scene and eventually, being reanimated. And Lorna Heilbronn was a woman who was quite a nice, polite young woman, then turned into a wild haired temptress with a heaving bosom. And my young mind was just blown. I was like, I'm not sure what this is, but I like this heady concoction. So that was my first experience with this, and with many other films like this. And The Creeping Flesh is one of those films which I think I was finally able to ask about when we all got on the internet, because I couldn't remember what this was called. I was basically like, "Dear people of the internet, can you remember the film where Peter Cushing is crying out and you see he's lost a finger?" That was pretty much it. Um, so I've always got a soft spot for this, and I didn't expect you guys to love it. I agree that it's lower grade material for the stars. I think Cushing is on his A game. I don't think he ever really did less than that, and I agree that Lee's a bit more sleepwalking through his role. I even agree that there are too many ideas just kind of not treated well enough. So you've got this concept of this thing perhaps somehow being the very embodiment of evil. I mean, there's no other reason given for it, and I can't even remember Cushing's proper scientific analysis that led him to that conclusion. Spoiler: there isn't one. He saw some stuff through a microscope and went, "This is the root of all evil," and I have unleashed it 3,000 years too early or something.
And I'm going to inject it into a monkey and see what happens.
Oh yeah, you would. It's all in the name of science. And then so there's the relatively potentially interesting stuff about how his ex-wife sort of descended into madness and passed away, and him worrying about that being hereditary. Then Lee is quite acting concerned and possibly plotting other ways to benefit from the situation, and it doesn't really go anywhere because it is ultimately all about getting this skeleton moving around and doing that. That's okay. Like, that's okay when you're a young kid and first watching it and impressed by everything on this, and you mistakenly think it's a Hammer film anyway. It's not so okay when you're watching it as an older viewer and just realizing that there are too many strands here that all just end up limply sitting there like a pile of cold pasta. That's all it is. Oh, I mean, you've got the you've got the escaped lunatic as well, and I'm not using a more correct term because I'm pretty sure they use many worse terms throughout the film. It's like every time they mention him, it gets worse. Like, oh, he's a right fruit and nut bar. He is. Oh, he's an absolute mental case. He is. It's just another thing that they use to like create an extra moment that is unnecessary, really. Um, so it's a mess. It's unsatisfying. It's not the top level of work for anyone involved, particularly when you think of the many credits that Dave mentioned for Freddie Francis. But you know, we've all got these films that we can't really separate. That I can't remove the soft spot I have for this, and looking at it objectively, I still think there's that much in it that actually also helps it to not be a complete like failure and a complete waste of your time. I think it's an interesting. I wouldn't quite call it a curio piece, but it's in a way it does feel removed enough from so many of the other films that Cushing and Lee were in round about this time. Of course, it's in line with them in terms of the presentation and the production values and what they're doing. I think it's just this. It is this weird little story with lots of different things crammed in there. That's that's the downside of it, but it's also still a bit of the upside, if that makes sense. So, it's a confuzzlement, but I still, I mean, I'll never say nowadays that I love it, but I still like it. Even the shot of the looming shadow of the skeleton of pure evil is something I enjoy seeing whenever I revisit it. But I'm sorry that I hope it didn't pain you all too much. It was just
Nah.
a fun trip down memory lane for me.
It's time to pick one, guys. I'm going to defer because I'm not actually sure, to be honest. I'm making notes in my head.
I'll be going with John the Curse.
I will be going with Hollywood 90028. I think that's the title.
I am going with Tales from the Hood.
Well, shit, I'm gonna go with Ju-on then. It is tough. It was a toss up between that and Hollywood 90028. I just love Ju-on.
I mean,
I
everybody
think it's a little better made.
also everyone was considering The Creeping Flesh. Obviously, I know it was
Obviously,
a strong contender for the sweet.
it was. Next week, Tyler asked us to extend October a week. So instead of getting ready to end our horror romp, we're gonna add another week to it. So I'm having a hard time picking, so I need you guys to help me. Can you help me? I'm gonna take a poll. I'm gonna ask
Possibly.
each of you a question. And now if I say a title, it will not be one of the two in contention. It's just something that is connected in some way. So first, Kevin, are you feeling modern or retro?
Modern.
Okay. Craig, ghosts or vampires?
Oh, vampires.
Tyler, a sequel or a movie with a sequel? All right, then we
A
are
movie with a sequel.
we are watching 1970s House of Dark Shadows, the feature-length American horror film
Ooh.
based on the 1960s soap opera. That is the Barnabas Collins.
That's the
Yes,
Barnabas
it's the
Collins,
70s.
right?
It's
That's
the
the
1971, directed by Dan
Yeah.
Curtis. Do not watch the parody that was made in the 2010s, because we will have a fight. It will be bad.
I'm going to drag us back to something classy. I've checked it's available for you guys. It's in a set that I own. We are going with 1959's The Ghost of Yotsuya.
Okay. I am going with. I have not seen this before, but it might be a terrible mistake. I'm going with the 2011 splatterpunk film Adam Chaplin.
Nice. And I am just going. I'm piggybacking off my own pick this week. I am going with Tales from the Hood 2.
You know what? Just for that, you better give him the fucking business.
I would love to. We're on Instagram, Raiders_of_the_podcast. We're on Facebook, where I sometimes remember to post stuff on Wednesdays. We have a YouTube channel where you can like, subscribe, and comment and watch Kevin's awesome videos. We have a Discord, we have a Blue Sky, and you can always email us at raidersofthepodcast@gmail.com.
As always, thanks for listening. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'll talk to you next week. You know what? You can't go wrong with 3 of these movies.
4. Dave, we watched 4 movies this week.
Did we?
4. You know it was 4 movies. You can't go wrong with 4 of them.
Yeah, okay. You can't. The Creeping Flesh is fine. I already said it, right? Thanks for joining. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you next week.
Yay! See you next week.